today's wild mapping video. Hey, Denmark, you look old. I'm not that old. I'm Denmark Norway now. Yeah, Denmark Norway is old. And then came Sweden Norway. And now we have Norway. Norway? That's funny. With deciding to make more naval dominance in these waters. Which basically blockades Sweden, and Sweden says, enough is enough. Move your ships or face war. And what do they just choose? The latter. Why the latter? Because let's look at Denmark's relations with Sweden. What is Sweden, Denmark? Question mark. With them by force. Storming their vessels at Denmark's, which they do a lot of damage. With them managing to storm into Copenhagen, burning it to the ground. What a Brit. And they do this. They're here with their forces. But this is where they start a new invasion of the north. Where the navy isn't well prepared. And they take these lands from Norway with them doing this. It's Norway. Denmark takes some vessels from the north and storms into Sweden's coast. And Sweden's coast goes boom, boom. And has less land, is on the better side because they have the better land. Do you know most islands are in the Nordics, so there would be a lot of island hopping. You would think somewhere like Indonesia would have the most, or Canada, or maybe even Russia. But Sweden, Norway, and Finland have the most. First is Sweden, then it's Norway, and then it's Finland. With them making their advances in on the coast. What's interesting about Sweden besides Minecraft and IKEA? And Denmark, what's interesting about you besides Legos? Okay, fine. That's wrong. But yeah. Stockholm is the capital, which means they're nearing. Actually, do you know Sweden is the most populated Nordic? I think the least must be Denmark. But I'm not sure. It might be Finland. With them storming towards Stockholm. But instead of giving up the city like they could do, and give up their government like Denmark somehow did. No, I'm kidding. They escaped, I guess. They take these forces and start storming down here. A lot of these skilled urban fighters. But Denmark launches an ingenious plan to just go behind them. What the? Behind? Yeah, they come in from here. Behind on two fronts now. With Sweden in trouble. They basically start losing control of their navy. There's a lot of desertions start happening. And while Denmark takes some of their islands. Like that. No, they don't take the coast. And this happens. They come in here. And here. With them cutting these forces off and moving back. Encircling these forces. They also managed to encircle these forces. With this being such a decisive victory. Over the Nordics. And they move north of Stockholm. They encircle Stockholm. And they take Stockholm. With peace still looking unlikely, Sweden launches another campaign. With them taking back a lot of lands in the north and moving towards Stockholm. Which they eventually get and they take back. But at the cost of these forces. With Denmark Norway sending a peace negotiation. Behind this green line on that side, that's a no-fly zone. Along with this, an occupation. That is no boats allowed. That's a puppet made by Denmark. And that's what Denmark Norway has annexed. And just because I think so, we can use this color like line. Not this color. This color like line to separate the two areas of this country, Denmark, Norway. Right here is where we'll put it. And yeah, since they have nobody competing them against naval denomination, well, they do that. And well, Sweden is just Sweden and Sweden. And if they break this no-fly zone, there will be consequences. With them deciding where to go next. With them saying Finland, yo, what's up? Can we have some land? Can we have these lands? And you know what Finland says? No, even though they threaten Finland with war. Finland still says no and refuses the offer. With an invasion happening, which Finland, with no naval fighting really, with Finland saying, no, you cannot have my land. With them saying, you said we can have your land. If not, you will face war. But this makes it hard because, well, they have one ally, Estonia. And why does Estonia help them? Because Estonia said, no, Denmark, Norway. You're not allowed to do this. With Sweden agreeing with them, but saying there's nothing we can do. Look at us. We're a rump of what we used to be. We're a rump of our former glory with them going over there. And starting naval fighting near Helsinki. Which, the Finns, I don't know what they do with their navy, but it seems like they fail. Estonia bet Russia first. And this kind of happens. But then they freeze to death all these boats and they can't even make a naval landing. But they do in Estonia, sadly. Estonia is cool and they kill Estonia. That's not how you... Why are they trying to kill Estonia is my question. Would you agree, guys? You can't kill Estonia. Well, they're making landings here and here, basically saying, yeah, Finland, give us our land. And Finland is stubborn and says, no, we're never giving up any territory to you. Which leads to one of the slowest wars ever. With Sweden breaking the no-fly zone. And you know where they end up? At war. So I guess the no-fly zone doesn't exist anymore. Actually, they don't go to war, and they did not break it. Because, you know, Sweden is weak. Like, they went neutral last time they lost badly. And they start slamming in the north, Denmark, Norway, with Finland launching 2 counterattacks. One here and one here. And they launched their third one. And Helsinki, Denmark. Encircling Helsinki, burning Helsinki to the ground and seizing it. With them sending Finland a peace request as they march into the lands they desperately want. But Finland says no. We will never help you. With them slamming up here and slamming there, and Finland slams here. With them slamming these invasion forces, slamming one out, but failing to liberate Estonia because they can't get there. With this northern offensive continuing. Liberation of Helsinki coming, and all these forces demoralized as winter starts coming. In the world. with Finland pushing north. And yeah, Denmark-Sweden was unprepared for launching a during war with Norway, Denmark, Norway having a during the war annexation, which was a shock to Finland. A big shock. A big shock. But Finland says, really? You think you can do that to them? And says, no, we're not giving up because you annexed our territory. We can take it back. And they do so. And so they do that. And this. And they do this. With Sweden, Norway saying, stop this now, Finland. And Finland sends peace lands. Finland gets big. And they're embarrassed by what happened. So they do this. But before the Baltics can even mobilize their navy, already poofed their navy. And the Baltics are upset. Poland was going to do something, but quickly they do this. Russia was also. Belarus and Russia were going to do stuff, so they just did this. And they can't supply them anymore. And so it's fit for Sweden and Norway to take over. With Poland and Germany signing an alliance over fears of what this thing will do. Which they even mobilize their navies. Are you trying to provoke a war, guys? And then the Netherlands says, yo, we'll help. As the Netherlands is, the Netherlands will. As they mobilize their navies, Denmark, Norway says stop. Why am I calling you Sweden, Norway? You're not Sweden, Norway. You're Denmark, Norway. And so they mobilize it. Russia does too. As Russia, Poland, Germany, and the Netherlands sign an alliance quickly after this alliance, Denmark declares war on them. Denmark, Norway. With Finland deciding to declare war on Russia, along with Sweden after witnessing all these losses, with them both signing an alliance. Because they know who's going to win, so they both just join, for a lack of a better word. And well, this includes Sweden joining an alliance, Finland. This no-fly zone is abolished, and the occupation, and this is gave back to Sweden after they signed an alliance, which is encouraging, to say the least. But as we know, these guys keep switching sides, so it's kind of hard to tell if they. And well, this looks like it'll be the last war, judging on time. I don't want to make this video too long because I have a tendency to make 30-minute videos. And also, Wednesdays are more popular at watching. I noticed. You guys don't like watching on Mondays and Tuesdays. But that's okay. Now, I need to get more subscribers is what I need to do, guys. Well, I'm doing this. With the first phase of fighting over in the Navy, but unprepared on land. Ever is. With Denmark getting pushed back. With the Baltics getting pushed back. And Finland and Sweden getting pushed back. But in the Finnish front. And them starting 3 offensives into Finland. With a Baltic offensive going almost to success for everywhere but the coast, because Denmark has such a strong hold on the coast. And no aid is getting into like Germany, so Germany's economy starts collapsing. But then they figure out they can use Belgium. But after figuring out they're using Belgium, they make landings in the Netherlands and start cutting it off. So they just start shipping stuff in through France, Austria, Czechia, Switzerland, Slovakia, and Ukraine. And Russia. But the Russia way is slow. With Denmark Norway starting their own offensive. With Russia being like that on their front lines, and Finland starting a counter-advance against them. With Finland countering Russia's advance, which is scary. But not a shock. With Germany dying and sick feeling, this happens. They move to Berlin. With them starting their landings in their other campaigns. With Finland moving in and taking a major port city and starting to take the nukes over. Why are they taking the nukes over? So Russia doesn't use them. I think there's only one road up into Kaleria, so like then you would have to force them to back up all out of there. With Russia dying, Belarus's front, Russia starts sending all men it has to try and take over the Baltics, which actually goes to success. With them taking out the Baltics, pushing them back into Kaliningrad. But, as we can see, Denmark takes over all of Germany's industries. I think they're all like here. But at least they didn't take over the finances, cut off France aid, and they start pushing on both sides of Berlin. They encircle Berlin and take it. With them attempting the same thing to take Warsaw, which they succeed in. Quickly after, Germany has to leave the war as they have no capabilities to fight left. The same thing is also done by Poland, which they use these two nations push into Minsk. And well, this is where the Baltic front collapses. Because they also had naval dominance, guys, so look. So Russia is countered here. Russia's countered on two fronts. Russia's looking weak. Denmark Norway continues its advance with its allies. Finland and Denmark Norway eventually manage to take the city of St. Petersburg. And well, eventually, this is what it looks like, the front lines. But the front line's collapsing, and eventually they're at Moscow. Moscow front beginning to break as the Battle of Moscow starts. And the Battle of Moscow is bloody. The Battle of Moscow being the bloodiest part of this war. As they push to Moscow and start entering the city. Keep in note, this might not be Moscow's legitimate location, because I might have made a mistake. And other things to remember is I'm not looking at a map of Moscow that's like showing Moscow. I'm looking at this. So Moscow could be north, south, east. And where I'm saying entering the city, they might not be entering the city. Keep in mind that. With them pushing in and taking Moscow's center. That's assuming that's center. Eventually they take the Kremlin. And Putin is found dead. Huh? The Putin? and most of Putin's military is. With this big spearhead being a success. The Russian people are still fighting, so they move down to Volgograd, which the Battle of Volgograd is decisively in their favor. After they see that Russia is already dead, and Russia has already been kicked out of their nation, they eventually sign this pact with Sweden, Norway, and soar into the Caucasus on two fronts. And then they push south. And then they do that. And then they do this. And then the new leader of Russia, his name is someone. He's a psycho. And he basically says, launch the nukes on Moscow and my cities. That's basically what he says. So I guess he is a crazy leader. With him launching a nuke on Moscow, Volgograd, St. Petersburg, Minsk, Kiev, Helsinki, Tallinn, Vilnius, and that is Murmansk, blowing up all the nukes. Yeah. And that is Riga. Yeah, Riga. I forgot Riga's name. They also launched Sevastopol, Luhansk. No, that's Donetsk. Luhansk, Mariupol, Kiev. And he just nukes randomly across his territory. And yeah, this happens. And everything is basically in bad quality. But then, eventually the nuclear disaster is cleaned up. But there's a lot of cities are not really usable. And millions are dead. Which, this angers them so much. You know what they do? They erase Russia from the map. You know how they erase Russia from the map? They're so furious. First, they kill this new leader. They take over all of Russia's land. Why am I not showing it? And they give all this to Ukraine. Then they give all this to Finland. And why does Ukraine get so much land? Don't ask me. Hey, look, this stayed here. Well, Sweden, Norway is angered at this. Why wouldn't you? You won the war, but your victory was made unusable by a psych. And no, this would not happen if a psycho became in power. I promise you. Because Russia's nuclear system does not work like Putin 2.0 can't say, yeah, launch the nukes. Putin can't just say, launch the nukes. That's not how their system works. Which is good news, in my opinion. Because it's unlikely all the generals and leaders of Russia will suddenly feel, yeah, we're all going to die. No, somebody will still have hope. And I bet you won't die if you don't use nukes. That's just my logic. If you use nukes, you're definitely going to die. But if Putin was captured by Ukraine, there's no chance he would live. Is a problem. Because it makes danger this situation. With Germany and Poland becoming French, and France and Belgium signing the security organization, the Warsaw Pact 2.0. Yeah, the treaty continues. Wild Mapper